I, Ava, returned to my hometown to find MY's 17-year-old younger sister. Mia, I discovered that she has been kidnapped. Together with my friend Liam, I chased the kidnappers and uncovered the shocking secrets of the powerful Mrs. Clark. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe. Get ready for real emotional and thrilling stories from Black adults that will keep you hooked till the end. I never thought returning to Riverside City would feel like walking into a haunting I never signed up for. 3 years away, 3 long years of trying to build a life in New York, far from the shadows of my past, and yet, the moment my bus rolled into my hometown, something inside me tightened. Maybe it was the way the streets looked smaller, or how the familiar scent of warm asphalt and pine trees hit me all at once. But deeper than that, it felt like the whole city was holding its breath. My suitcase wheels dragged on the cracked sidewalk as I walked through my old neighborhood. People glanced at me, quiet, cautious looks like they recognized me, but weren't sure if they should. Like I was a story they heard years ago, a rumor they never expected to see return. No one smiled. No one waved, they just stared. I tried to shake off the uneasiness. After all, I had come home for one purpose, to fix things with my family, especially with me and my 17-year-old little sister. She was the only one who kept texting me, asking when I'd visit, complaining about school, and telling me she missed me. Her last message was 3 months ago, saying, "Ava, please come soon. I really need you." At the time, I thought she was just stressed. Now, that message burned in my mind like a warning I didn't understand. When I finally reached our old, white-painted house with the missing porch light, I paused at the gate. My chest tightened with memories, summer evenings. Me and eating popsicles, Mom yelling at us to be careful on the steps. Dad fixing the car while blasting old R&B. Now the house looked quieter, heavier, like it had absorbed every bit of pain that lived inside it. I raised my hand to knock, but before I could, the door swung open. My mother stood there. For a moment, she didn't move. Her eyes widened, filling with tears that never quite fell. Time seemed to stop as she stared at me, her older daughter who left without saying goodbye properly, who promised she'd come back soon, but never did. "Mom," I whispered. She stepped forward and pulled me into a tight hug. Her arms felt smaller than I remembered, her body frailer. I felt guilt roll through me like a wave. After a long silence, she let go. "We didn't think you'd come back," she said softly. "I know," I breathed. "But I'm here now." "Where's Mia?" "I want to surprise her." The moment the words left my mouth, something changed in her expression. The warmth drained. Her shoulders stiffened. She looked away. "Mom?" I stepped closer. "Where is she?" She didn't answer. She walked back into the living room slowly, like every step cost her something. I followed, my heartbeat echoing in my ears. She sat on the old brown couch and finally looked at me. "Ava?" Her voice cracked. "Mia is missing." I froze. Everything inside me went silent. My brain couldn't process the words. "What?" My voice barely came out. "What do you mean by missing? What happened? When?" Her eyes filled with tears. "She disappeared 3 months ago." 3 months. 3 months while I was living my life in New York, answering emails, going to work, complaining about small things. My sister was gone. And nobody told me. "Why didn't you call me?" I whispered, shaking. "We did," she said. "But your number, it wasn't working. The messages when they're delivered, that didn't make sense. My phone never showed anything from them, no missed calls. No text, nothing. It was as if someone had erased their attempts before they reached me." I ran my hands through my hair, pacing the room. What happened the night she disappeared? Did the police? Mom closed her eyes, pain cutting across her face. The police said she probably ran away. My stomach twisted. Mia would never run away. She loved Mom. She loved her school clubs. She loved her guitar lessons. Running away was not Mia. Who was the officer in charge? I demanded. Officer Daniel Brooks. I remembered him vaguely, tall, quiet, never really helpful. A man who avoided doing more than the bare minimum. Mom looked at me with broken eyes. "Ava, no one here is looking for her anymore." Anger surged inside me like fire. "Well, I am," I said. "I'm going to find her, even if I have to tear this whole city apart." Mom covered her mouth, trying not to cry, but I couldn't stop now. I grabbed my bag and headed toward my old bedroom. Needing space to think, That's when I saw it. A folded piece of paper lying under the front door fresh. Like someone had slipped it there minutes ago, I bent down and picked it up. The handwriting was shaky but clear. If you want the truth about Mia, don't trust the police. Meet me at Pier 9, midnight. My heart dropped. Someone knew something. Someone was watching and they wanted to talk to me alone. Asterisk, I must have read that note a dozen times before midnight. Each time, the same chill ran through me. Someone knew I was back. Someone knew I'd start digging the moment I learned Mia was gone. And that same someone wanted to meet me? In the dark? Alone. A part of me wanted to stay home, lock every door, and hug my mother until the fear passed. But another part of me, the part that knew Mia better than anyone knew, this was the only lead I had. If I didn't go, I might never know what happened to her dot by the time the clock hit 11:45 p.m. I was already walking toward the river, my hands stuffed in my jacket pockets. My heart beating so loudly I could hear it in my ears. Riverside wasn't a big city. But at night it felt strangely hollow, empty streets, quiet houses. The soft buzz of streetlights flickering like they were tired too. Pier 9 was on the far edge of the riverfront, a place teenagers used to hang out during the summer. At midnight, though, it felt abandoned, swallowed by fog and darkness. The wooden planks creaked under my shoes as I stepped onto the pier. For a moment, I thought I was alone. Then I saw him. A young man, maybe 18 or 19, wearing a gray hoodie with the hood pulled low. He stood near the edge of the pier, hands in his pockets, staring out at the black water. When he heard my footsteps, he turned slowly. "Ava?" he asked cautiously. "Yes," I said. "Are you the one who left that note?" He nodded and took a step closer, the dim lamplight revealing his face a pale, nervous expression, dark hair falling onto his forehead, brown eyes filled with fear. "My name is Liam Carter," he said quietly. I was friends with Mia. Friends. But Mia had never mentioned him. Not once. I kept my voice steady. "What do you want to tell me?" He swallowed hard, glancing around like he expected someone to jump out of the shadows. "I don't think Mia ran away," he whispered. "I think something happened to her. Something bad." My stomach turned. "I need you to be honest with me," I said. "When was the last time you saw her?" He hesitated, and that hesitation alone told me everything I needed to know. He wasn't here to gossip. He was here because he was scared. "It was the night she disappeared," he said finally. "She was supposed to come to my place to work on a school project. She texted me she was on her way. But she never showed up." I felt my pulse quicken. "She texted you? What did she say?" Liam fumbled with his phone, unlocked it, and handed it to me with shaking hands. On the screen was a message from Mia. Timestamp, 11:16. "Ping you, Liam. Liam. Someone's been following me since I left school. I don't know who. I'm scared." My breath caught. I knew Mia. If she typed something like that, she meant it. "Why didn't you show this to the police?" I demanded. "I did," Liam said, frustration breaking into his voice. "But Officer Brooks told me it wasn't enough. He said teenagers exaggerate. That Mia probably met someone and didn't want to tell their mom." I clenched my fist. That was exactly how Officer Brooks handled things, lazy. Dismissive, unwilling to do anything that required effort. "Did you see anything else?" I asked. Liam nodded slowly. "That night, I thought I saw someone near Mia's house. A man, tall, wearing a dark jacket. I couldn't see his face, but he was standing near the trees like he was waiting for her. A figure watching, waiting, following her dot. My skin crawled. Before I could ask more, the sudden flash of blue and red lights lit up the trees. A police car. Liam stiffened instantly. No. "We have to go," he said urgently. "They can't see us talking, please." The police car crawled toward the pier, headlights shining across the water. I didn't know if they were looking for us, but Liam didn't take any chances. He grabbed my wrist and pulled me behind a stack of crates. "Why are you afraid of them?" I whispered. "Because," he said breathlessly, "ever since Mia disappeared, they've been watching me. Every day. They don't want me talking to anyone." My heart slammed in my chest. The police weren't just ignoring the case. They were protecting something. When the car finally drove away, Liam released my wrist. Shaking. "Ava," he said, voice trembling. I think whatever happened to Mia wasn't an accident. I stepped back, cold air filling my lungs. And do you think the police know? He nodded slowly. I think they know more than they're saying. And I think that's why they told you she ran away. My mind spun out if that was true. Then the first lie wasn't about where Mia went, it was about who took her. The police car's lights had disappeared around the corner, but the adrenaline coursing through me didn't fade. Liam and I crouched behind the wooden crates, shivering from more than the cold. I could barely think straight. Every instinct in my body screamed danger, but I also knew this was my only lead. If I wanted to find Mia, I had to trust Liam. And I had to follow this trail no matter where it led. I can show you where she went, Liam whispered, eyes darting around like a rabbit in the dark. I saw her. The night she disappeared, she was headed toward the old Harper Academy grounds. Harper Academy. The name sent a chill down my spine. It was an elite private school on the edge of town, full of rich kids, secret clubs, and locked doors behind which adults whispered secrets no one else was supposed to hear. Mia had always hated the academy, hated the people there, but she had a scholarship she wanted to prove herself. And now it was the last place she was seen. Show me, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. We left the pier and walked quickly, sticking to the shadows. Liam led me through alleys I didn't even know existed, past abandoned warehouses, over chain-link fences. Every creak of metal, every rustle of leaves made my pulse spike. I kept thinking of Mia alone, scared. Trapped somewhere I couldn't reach, trapped because I hadn't been there for her when she needed me most. When we reached the back of Harper Academy, I felt my stomach twist. It was deserted. Only the occasional street lamp cast long, skeletal shadows over the overgrown lawn. The back gate was locked, but Liam pulled out a small key he borrowed from someone I didn't ask. I just followed. We slipped inside. The grounds were eerily quiet. I kept scanning for signs of life, every muscle tense. Then we heard it, a faint whimper, soft but desperate. Coming from one of the old storage sheds near the edge of the property, I froze. My heart thumped violently. Did you hear that? I whispered. Liam nodded. That's her. I'm sure of it. We crept toward the shed, but when we got closer, I realized there was more than one sound. Footsteps. Heavy, purposeful footsteps moving in the shadows. Someone else was here. I ducked behind a tree, trying to calm my shaking hands. Liam crouched next to me, whispering, "We need to be careful. If they see us, they won't let us leave alive." I swallowed hard. We have to find her, Liam. I can't lose her again. Then, as if on cue, a light flickered inside the shed. I saw a figure, a tall man in a dark jacket dragging something small. My stomach clenched. My worst fear had come true. Mia, before I could react, Liam grabbed my arm. Wait, there's more than one person. 2 more are coming. I could barely breathe. My fist clenched. Let's follow them, I whispered. We have to know where they're taking her. We crept around the side of the shed. I could see Mia now. She was alive, but terrified, struggling weakly against the man's grip. Her eyes met mine through the shadows, and I saw the recognition, the relief, the fear. My throat tightened. Mia? I wanted to scream, but Liam pressed a hand over my mouth. The men were leading her toward a black van parked just outside the property line. The license plate was just barely visible under the dim moonlight. It memorized every letter, every number. They're going to move her, Liam whispered urgently. If we follow, we'll know where. I hesitated. Part of me wanted to charge forward, but another part knew we would never survive that. I nodded. Okay, we follow, but from a distance. The van started moving slowly, and we trailed it silently through the empty streets. My mind raced. Who were these men? Why was Mia taken? And how could the police, the same police who had told us she ran away, be doing nothing? We followed the van for what felt like hours, twisting through dark streets, under overpasses, and through industrial areas I didn't even know existed. Every turn, every shadow made my heart pound harder. My hands were clammy, my muscles tight, but I couldn't stop. I couldn't let fear keep me from finding Mia. Finally, the van stopped near an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. I could see 2 more figures step out tall, faceless in the darkness, moving quickly to secure the doors. My stomach sank. Liam whispered, "This is it. This is where they're keeping her." I took a deep breath. Every instinct screamed to run straight in, but logic told me that would get us killed. I had to think, I had to plan. My little sister was alive, but just barely. And she needed me more than ever. Something shifted in me then, something fierce and unbreakable. I wasn't going to let anyone at all, hurt Mia and get away with it. Not the police, not these men, not anyone who thought they could hide the truth. I looked at Liam. "We're getting her back," I whispered. "No matter what it takes." He nodded grimly. "No matter what it takes." And in that moment, I felt the first spark of hope in weeks. The danger was real. The risk was high. But I wasn't going to let my sister slip away into the shadows of this city. Not this time. Asterisk, the warehouse loomed ahead like a blackened monolith. Even from a distance, I could feel the weight of secrets it held. Liam and I crouched behind a stack of broken pallets, peering through gaps in the fence. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might echo across the empty lot. Every instinct in me screamed danger, but the sight of Mia, alive but terrified, drove me forward. I studied the building carefully. The main entrance was guarded by two men in dark jackets. They were tall, broad, and looked like they'd been trained to handle anyone who tried to get too close. My mind raced. How could I possibly get Mia out without getting caught or worse? Then Liam whispered something that made my stomach drop. "They're not the only ones here. Someone else is inside. Someone important." "Important? What do you mean?" I asked, feeling the hair on my arms rise. He glanced around nervously. "I mean, someone with power. Someone connected to the school, maybe even the city. Whoever is behind Mia's disappearance isn't just random. They planned this." I swallowed hard. The police, the dismissive officer, the vanished girl, all of it began to make a horrible kind of sense. This wasn't a runaway. This wasn't a prank. This was organized. I crouched lower, trying to make myself as small as possible. Liam pulled out his phone and pointed to a small, cracked window near the back of the warehouse. "Through there. It's the only way in without being seen. We can get a glimpse of her before they move her again." I nodded, trying to calm my shaking hands. We slipped quietly toward the window. Peering through, I could see Mia. She was tied to a chair, her hair falling across her face, her hands trembling. But she was alive. That was all that mattered for now. Then I noticed something else. Papers, hundreds of documents stacked in boxes and scattered across the room. Files labeled with names of students, financial accounts, legal papers. And most chilling of all, surveillance photos of students walking home alone, including Mia. My breath caught. Whoever was running this operation wasn't just hiding her, they were tracking her, studying her every move. I felt a wave of anger. The thought that someone had been watching my little sister, planning this, orchestrating it while the city looked the other way, made my hands ball into fists. Then came a sound that froze me. Footsteps slow, deliberate, heading straight toward the back of the warehouse. Liam and I ducked lower. A tall woman appeared, mid-40s, sharp features, dressed impeccably. My chest tightened. Something about her aura screamed authority. Liam whispered, "That's Mrs. Clark, the principal. She runs everything behind the scenes." I couldn't believe it. The woman everyone admired, the one respected and trusted, was behind Mia's kidnapping? The pieces clicked together, the police ignoring the case, Mia's last messages, the hush over her disappearance. It was all connected. Mrs. Clark stepped over to the chair where Mia was tied and spoke in a calm, cold voice. "You'll learn, Mia. Obedience is everything. Your sister doesn't need to know yet." I felt my blood run cold. She wasn't just a kidnapper, she was a mastermind. A woman in power, hiding behind her reputation while controlling the lives of children. I had to act fast. Liam nudged me. "We need to get closer, get her out before they notice us." I nodded, but my mind was racing. How could two of us possibly save Mia from a room guarded by adults who clearly had a plan and authority on their side? Then I noticed something. The ropes binding Mia weren't tight. She'd have been left alone for a moment while my Mrs. Clark handled the papers. My heart lifted. Maybe there was a small window, a tiny opportunity. I whispered, "We can do this. We have to. I can't let her stay here another minute." Liam hesitated, fear etched on his face. But he nodded. "Okay. Let's do it." I took a deep breath. Every beat of my heart felt like a drum of war. Every second counted, and in that moment, I realized something terrifying. This wasn't just about saving Maya. This was about exposing a system of lies, power, and control that had hidden in plain sight. The stakes were higher than I ever imagined. The adrenaline surged, sharp and electric. My hands were shaking, my pulse racing, but my mind was clear. I had to save Mia, no matter the risk. No matter the consequences. And as I crept closer, peering through the shadows, I made a silent promise. I wouldn't let anyone hurt my sister. Not Mrs. Clark, not the men in the warehouse. Not anyone. The first twist of the night had revealed the truth. The real danger was only beginning. My heart pounded so violently that I was sure Mia could hear it even from behind those ropes. I couldn't wait any longer. Liam and I had to act fast, Mrs. Clark, and the men could return at any second. And Mia had no idea we were here. I signaled Liam to stay low, and we edged closer to the shadows, careful not to make a sound. The ropes around Mia's wrists looked flimsy, like they had been tied in a hurry. My hands itched to grab a knife, a tool, anything, but Liam had nothing. And I refused to draw attention by using my phone light. I had to trust my instincts, Mia, I whispered under my breath, hoping she could hear me. It's me. Ava, I'm here. I'm going to get you out. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then Mia's head lifted slightly. Her eyes widened, and I thought I saw a flicker of hope spark in them. She didn't respond verbally, she was too scared, but I could see she understood. She trusted me. Liam and I crouched closer, the crates around us making a rough pathway. I peeked again through the small gap in the doorway, counting the seconds, scanning for anyone returning. Everything was quiet. Too quiet. I whispered to Liam, when I say now, we move. Get her out quietly. Don't make a sound. He nodded, eyes wide but determined. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my shaking hands. Then I moved fast. I slipped around the side, crouched low, and gently lifted the ropes around Mia's wrists. She flinched but didn't resist. Her hands were free. I whispered urgently, come on, slowly, don't make a sound. Mia's eyes were brimming with tears and her lips trembled, but she obeyed. She moved carefully, almost floating, like she was afraid the slightest noise would shatter the fragile chance we had. Liam moved behind us, keeping a lookout. We edged toward the back door, the moonlight faintly illuminating our path. Then suddenly we heard it, a faint creak behind us. Someone was coming. I froze. My pulse hit double time. The sound of footsteps grew closer, heavier. A shadow passed across the doorway. We have to move now. I hissed to Mia, grabbing her hand. We slipped into a narrow corridor, barely making a sound. I could hear the shuffling of papers from the office, the click off Mrs. Clark's heels on the concrete floor. Whoever it was didn't notice us yet, but we couldn't take any chances. We reached a small side door that led to an alley outside the warehouse. I pressed my hand against the cold metal handle, trying to turn it without making noise. It groaned softly. My stomach clenched. Then, just as the door opened enough for us to slip through, a flashlight beam swept across the alley. A voice called out, "Hey! Stop right there!" I felt a jolt of panic, but didn't hesitate. I grabbed Mia's hand and ran. Adrenaline surged, carrying us over broken concrete and scattered debris. Liam followed closely behind, shouting encouragement as he ran. The warehouse loomed behind us, a black silhouette of danger and power. Ahead, the street was dark and empty, the moonlight barely illuminating the cracked asphalt. I felt every heartbeat as we ran, the wind slicing across my face. Mia stumbled once and I caught her just in time. Almost there, I gasped. Keep moving. Finally, we reached the edge of the industrial area, where a narrow trail led into the woods. I made a split-second decision. We had to disappear into the trees. If we stayed on the streets, they would catch us. We darted into the forest, branches scratching at our arms, leaves cracking beneath our feet. I kept Mia close, whispering for her to stay silent. Liam followed, breathing heavily but staying alert. We paused for a moment to catch our breath. Mia clung to me, shaking but alive. Relief and fear collided inside me. I had found her, but I knew the danger wasn't over. She's going to come after us, Liam said, his voice trembling. They won't let her go. I nodded. I know, and we need a plan. We can't just keep running blindly. I looked down at Mia's face, streaked with dirt and tears, and felt a surge of determination. Whatever it took, I would protect her. I would face Mrs. Clark, the men, and anyone who stood in our way. I would uncover the truth behind her disappearance, and I would make them pay for underestimating me, but even as I thought that, I knew the night was far from over. The city was full of shadows, and someone powerful had already marked Maya. Whoever they were, they wouldn't give up easily. I tightened my grip on Mia's hand. "Come on," I whispered. "We need to keep moving. We're not safe yet. Not until we know the truth." And with that, we vanished into the forest, hearts pounding, lungs burning, and the first real sparks of a plan beginning to form in my mind. The escape had begun, but the real battle was only just starting. The forest was dark, thick with shadows that clung to our every step. The night was eerily silent, broken only by the sound of our footsteps and Mia's quiet sobs. Every branch we pushed aside, every leaf that crunched beneath our feet reminded me how close danger still was. I couldn't relax, not for a second. Mia clung to me, exhausted and terrified, but her small hand in mine gave me strength. Liam stayed slightly behind, keeping a watchful eye for any signs that we were being followed. I knew the warehouse guards and Mrs. Clark wouldn't just let us escape. They were too powerful. And someone like her didn't admit defeat easily. "We need to keep moving," I whispered. "We have to get to somewhere safe. Somewhere she can't find us." Liam nodded. "I know a place," he said, leading us toward a narrow, overgrown path. "It's an abandoned cabin my uncle used to own. No one comes here." I followed, alert to every sound. My mind kept replaying what I had seen, the stacks of surveillance photos, Mia tied up, and Mrs. Clark's cold face. It was one thing to realize Alice's sister had been kidnapped, but it was another to discover that someone with real power, someone adults trusted, was behind a door. By the time we reached the cabin, Mia had collapsed on the dirt floor. I knelt beside her, brushing dirt from her face. "You're safe now," I whispered. "I won't let anything happen to you." She looked up at me with wide, tear-filled eyes. "Ava, why didn't anyone help me?" she asked softly. I swallowed hard. I didn't have an answer she could understand. "I'm here now," I said, hugging her tightly. "I'll get you out of this. I promise." We settled inside the cabin as quietly as possible, but I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. Liam paced the small room nervously, glancing at the windows. "They're powerful," he said. "This isn't just about Mia. Mrs. Clark controls people, money, the police. I've heard stories. Anyone who tries to expose her disappears." I clenched my fist. "Then we have to be smarter. We need evidence. We need the proof to show what she's done, not just for Mia, but for everyone she's hurt." Mia shifted in my arms, and I realized she was shaking not just from fear, but from the cold. I grabbed my jacket and wrapped it around her small frame. "We'll figure it out," I said. "Step by step. One thing at a time." Then Liam showed me something that made my stomach turn, a photo he had taken from a distance outside the warehouse. There she was, Mrs. Clark, overseeing Mia being taken, calm, smiling almost, as if she owned every life around her. The photo made the danger real in a way words never could. "They're going to move her again," Liam said, voice trembling. "Tonight. She's planning something bigger. Something that could put her in control forever." I took a deep breath, feeling anger and fear twist together. "We have to follow her. We have to know where she's taking Mia, and we have to stop it." Liam looked hesitant. "Ava, it's not just the men at the warehouse. She's got connections. If we're caught..." "I don't care," I said firmly. "If we're caught, we fight. We survive. We do whatever it takes. Mia isn't going back there. Not ever." For a moment, silence hung between us. I could feel the weight of what we were about to do. Going after Mrs. Clark wasn't just risky, it was insane. But my sister's life depended on it. I checked Mia, who was finally beginning to calm down, though her fear was still clear in her wide eyes. "You're going to be okay," I said softly. "We're going to fix this. I'm not leaving you again." Then Liam pulled out his phone. "I hacked into the warehouse cameras," he whispered. "We can see their next move. They're transporting her to another location, closer to the city. We can follow, but we have to be careful. One wrong move and it's over." I nodded, determination burning in my chest. "Let's do it." We're not waiting any longer. We follow them and we find out the truth no matter what. Mia held my hand tightly, trusting me in a way I hadn't realized she ever could. I felt her fear, her hope, and her dependence all at once. And I made a promise to myself. I would see this through, even if it meant risking everything. The forest outside the cabin was silent, but danger was closer than ever. Mrs. Clark wasn't just a principal. She was a mastermind. And if she thought she could hide her secrets forever, she was about to discover that I was not a girl to underestimate. I took one last deep breath and whispered to Mia, "This is just the beginning. The night we take back what's ours." And with that, we prepared to leave the safety of the cabin, stepping into the unknown, ready for the chase and ready to confront the shocking truths that awaited us. The city lights glimmered in the distance as we emerged from the forest. Every shadow seemed like a threat, every street corner a trap. Mia stayed close to me, her hand gripping mine tightly, her wide eyes scanning the darkness. Liam stayed behind, checking the route he had mapped from the hacked warehouse cameras. My pulse was wild, my senses alert. We had one chance, just one, to confront Mrs. Clark before she moved Mia again. I had no plan beyond that. I only knew that the longer we waited, the farther she would take my sister. The van appeared just as Liam predicted. Black and ominous, headlights off, gliding silently through the deserted streets. My stomach clenched. Mia stiffened beside me. "They're heading to the old office building," Liam whispered. "It's abandoned, but it's where they store evidence and plan their moves. If we follow, we can see what she's up to." I nodded. This was it. No turning back. We trailed the van at a distance, slipping through alleys and side streets to avoid detection. Every turn made my stomach twist. My hands were clammy, my mind racing with what we might find. Who knew how many people were involved? How deep did this go? Finally, the van stopped in a parking lot behind the office building. The area was quiet, almost too quiet. I crouched behind a dumpster with Liam and Mia peering through the shadows. Inside, I could see her, Mrs. Clark, the same cold, calculated expression. She wasn't alone. 2 men were with her, moving boxes of documents and surveillance files. And in the corner, Mia, sitting quietly, head down, trying to make herself invisible. The sight hit me harder than I expected. Seeing Mia there, alive but trapped, made everything else, the fear, the exhaustion, the anger, fade into a single sharp focus. I couldn't fail. I whispered to Liam, "We need to get closer. We have to distract her." He shook his head. "Ava, it's risky. We could get caught." "I don't care," I snapped, feeling a fire ignite inside me. "We've waited long enough. We can't let her move Mia again." I noticed a small side door slightly ajar, probably left for ventilation. I signaled to Liam and Mia, and we crept toward it, every step measured, quiet, cautious. My heart thundered in my chest. Inside, the air was thick with the smell of old paper, dust, and tension. The men didn't see us, too focused on moving files. Mrs. Clark stood near Mia, speaking softly, almost like she was rehearsing a script. "You'll learn soon enough, Mia," she said. "Obedience is the key. And your sister doesn't need to know yet." I froze. My blood ran cold. That "doesn't need to know yet" sent chills down my spine. She had been planning this for months, manipulating, watching, and controlling every step of my sister's life. Then I felt Liam's hand on my shoulder, whispering, "Now, Ava." I stepped forward. Trying to remain calm, voice steady, Mrs. Clark stopped right there. She turned slowly, her eyes narrowing, a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Ah, Ava Johnson. I was wondering when you'd show up." "And who is this?" "Mia's sister," I said firmly, keeping my voice steady despite the fear roaring in my chest. "You've taken enough from her." Mrs. Clark tilted her head, studying me as if I were a curious little experiment. "Taken enough?" "My dear girl, I've only shown her the consequences of not fitting in, of questioning the rules. You have no idea how this world works." "I know enough," I said, stepping closer, defiance burning through me. "Enough to know you're lying. Enough to know you're hurting her. And enough to stop you." Her smile vanished. The men beside her stiffened. I realized then she wasn't used to anyone confronting her. Not like this. Suddenly, one of the men moved toward me, but Liam stepped out from the shadows, blocking him. I grabbed Mia's hand. She looked at me, fear and hope colliding in her eyes. "Follow me," I whispered. Before anyone could react, we bolted. The men shouted, chaos erupting behind us. The van engine started, but Liam had already found a route around it. We ran through the back alley, pushing past fear, exhaustion, and every ounce of panic. As we disappeared into the night, I glanced back. Mrs. Clark stood at the doorway, face pale but eyes blazing with fury. I could see it in her expression. She hadn't lost yet, and I realized something chilling. This was only the beginning. The confrontation had given us hope, but it had also made us targets. I gripped Mia's hand tighter. "We're not done," I whispered, more to myself than anyone else. "This isn't over." Not by a long shot. The night stretched ahead, full of shadows, danger, and secrets. But one thing was clear, we had made our move, and now the real battle had begun.